Today we're going to be talking about copying other people in terms of business ideas in businesses, or just copying people in terms of things on social media like YouTube. So this is not new news. People have been copying others since the beginning of time. Yet still to this day, people get mad about it. People say you shouldn't copy. And it's true. When a writer releases his book, or a movie comes out, or a musician releases a song, obviously you don't want to just steal that without paying. That's not the type of copying I'm talking about. I'm talking about the type of copying where somehow they get through with it legally, but it's very clear that they've copied you. So you see it a lot on YouTube. It's very prevalent on social media. For instance, someone gets very successful on YouTube and gets millions of subscribers doing pranks. Guess what's happened now? There are thousands of prank channels. Some of them have, surprisingly, in the last couple months, and still to this day, new ones come out and they're growing rapidly and getting hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And then there's thousands that come out every week, and most of them fail or do not grow. And they're pretty much copying the same thing. Some of them down to the exact gestures, the exact type of prank. And this is the same thing for all areas of YouTube. Ever since PewDiePie became the #1 gamer, there have been thousands upon thousands of channels, and if you just search it up, a new one pops up every day, and some of them are just so eerily similar to how PewDiePie talks and acts and all this stuff, and it's just ridiculous. And some of them have succeeded and gotten their own large base of subscribers, and others have failed, of course. And again, this applies to not just social media and YouTube, although you see it all across social media platforms. From 6-second vines on the platform Vine, one personality comes up with this very funny vine that goes viral, that plays on this specific thing. Next thing you know, a bunch of other Viners are doing their own vines that are eerily similar, and they all get millions of revines. And I've seen quite a few people copy the exact style, the exact titling, the exact transition format, everything from some of the top vloggers like Casey Neistat, which is, kind of ridiculous, but you see it. This video may be very useful to you because it may help you figure out how to best approach someone copying your work and succeeding in your business or your YouTube channel or your social media platform or whatever else you're pursuing in life, despite the fact that they are copying you. So this happens in business all the time. A couple years ago, this guy got on the show, the Shark Tank. The Shark Tank is basically this show where these rich millionaires sit there in chairs and they decide and judge you on your business idea. And if they think it's worthy, then they give you some money and they become partners, and then you form a business, or you just keep doing your business. So there's this one guy on the show who had this unique type of belt design. And he got on Shark Tank and it was doing fairly well. Next thing you know, he posts this thing on Reddit. And it's like this long post about how he's so shocked and angry and frustrated because his cousins have now copied the exact design and put it on their own website on Amazon. And it's literally like the exact same thing. The website looks the exact same. Everything's the exact same for this unique style of belt. And he just feels so betrayed because he had to find out about this himself, and they're competing against him, their own cousins. That type of stuff happens, and I do think it sucks that that occurs. However, I think the best way of going about it, and again, this is not just my advice, this is from observing and reading books from some of the most successful business people of all time who have made billions of dollars, like Sam Walton. He started with one store, and then he grew that into this empire called Walmart. People like Sam Walton didn't sit on the ground and cry and complain and say, woe is me, and pity himself and just sit there and cry when someone copied it. He knew it was coming, and he realized that, it's part of the game, and it's something that he has to surmount and overcome and beat the competition at. Even if this guy's cousin didn't copy his belt design, It could have been a stranger. Someone eventually would come in and copy your design eventually. That's just how business works. That's how business economics work. If there's money to be made in the market, not just one person, but probably a flood of people will eventually realize it and start copying you or trying to copy you or come up with similar stuff if there's money to be made. That's kind of part of the game. The same thing applies for YouTube. And yet the people who are at the top on YouTube understand this, and they, just like a lot of businesses who succeed, they bring something extra to the table, which boils down to strengthening your competitive advantage so that people cannot just copy you and then beat you. Like, you bring more to the table some way, shape, or form, whether it's in the form of goodwill or further uniqueness or higher editing skills or whatever, your personality, whatever it is that strengthens and enlarges your competitive advantage, so that someone coming in copying you or a bunch of people coming in copying you won't immediately just take that away. You know, some entrepreneurs, and I've seen them in real life, they're like on the extremist end. And they're trying to make it and do all these great things. And they're so extremist on the fact that they don't want to copy anything. They don't want to copy a single thing because they think it's unethical. And I admire the ethics and the respect, but the problem is they're so extremist to the point where it's like, you're telling me that you have to do everything unique and everything in your own special way, and you think you're so good that everything you're doing and you've done has never been done before. I mean, you can't be so extremist to the point where, like, small things like, okay, like that guy hired a receptionist or customer service representative and it's been helping their business, but I'm not going to copy that person because that wouldn't be unique. Like, come on, that's like part of business. Every business has that type of stuff. You're not just copying that one person. And being unique is one possible way of carving out your competitive advantage. So that's a possibility too. But I don't think you should be so extremist as to just not copy anything or not copy even most of the stuff that you can copy. And don't get me wrong, I do agree that there's a certain area and realm where, just on an ethics level, just out of respect, maybe if it's like a YouTube creator or like an artist, you don't want to copy them too much. As far as businesses go, Sam Walton, one of the things he said is that everything that I've done that has been successful, I've copied from someone else. Now that's quite a bold claim. People take this quote and they go too far with it. If you actually read Sam Walton's book, which is one of my favorite books on business, probably one of the most useful, which I'll link in the description below and maybe somewhere around this video, Sam Walton also innovated and did a lot of creative things and was the first, one of the pioneers in technology before a lot of the other competitors that he had to face, who were giants compared to him. He was always the underdog. He was one of the pioneers and the first to adapt this because he saw the future of it. Things like satellite communication, technology, organizing. And so he did a bunch of things. He was creative and unique and innovative and was the pioneer, as well as copying and seeing what his competitors did best. This guy was so good at what he did. He was obsessed with what he did. He always wanted to know everything his competitors did to the smallest detail. And that's a good quality I think you should look for in successful entrepreneurs. Some of them I found are just kind of like wishy-washy about the competitors. Like, they don't really care about knowing everything that these people provide. And I think that's a huge mistake. If you don't know your competitors and their products and services down to a T, then they're going to trample all over you eventually because they may pull out something new that you're not prepared for. Sam Walton was so into this that even at the time when he finally became a billionaire, he was doing all sorts of crazy stuff. Like, he would go to his competitors' stores and just spend like the whole day there and just like take out a ruler and measure the aisles and then like check out all the things that they do. And then he would, speak into this like tape recorder and record all the new things he found. And then eventually he got caught and he pretty much got his tape recorder taken away. Then he wrote this amazing letter to the CEO of the company. And again, this guy had people skills and he got his tape recorder back from the CEO of his competitor. Then one time he went to South America and he literally was thrown in jail because they thought he was some type of crazy man who was measuring the aisles and like sniffing the floor. But then he got free because it turns out, he wasn't crazy. This guy was always so humble. Even though he was doing so well, he always wanted to see what other people were doing, to see if they knew something he didn't. This guy was a lifelong learner, which is something I think you should do too. It's something I try. And he brought in a notebook to all these stores when he was starting out, and he interviewed the people who ran them, and he found out all the details, asked all these questions about how they ran things and did things. And then back when he was the underdog, he formed a community group with all the other underdog companies in his industry so that they could bounce ideas off each other and work on helping each other. And he learned a lot from them. And obviously, if he found something that worked or made his store better and made his customers' experience better, he implemented them. He wasn't so stubborn to not copy things because they were, beyond him, or because he wanted to be unique or special. Now, let me remind you, this is specifically for business and the type of business that he was doing. So if you're not running a business, it could be different. Like if you're a musician or composer or singer or writer, that's a different story because of copyright. And then like if you sample someone's beat, Pharrell Williams and Robin Thicke, they got sued for millions of dollars and they lost their case for their song, their number one hit song, Blurred Lines, which I love, because it sampled the bass line or something of this old funk song, which is just like, what? They don't even... And I listened to that song, and it's a good song, but they sound nothing alike to me. And that's, that kind of sucks that they were fined like millions of dollars for that. They lost the lawsuit. So yeah, in terms of that sort of stuff, that's a different story. This is mainly about business. Now, if you are a YouTube channel or social media platform or influencer on the flip side, that could be a different story. I would say, there's definitely more leeway compared to like a musician or a rapper in terms of like the copyright battles, as you see on YouTube. And this will always be the case on YouTube or whatever future video platform there is. When one person strikes gold, whether it's in pranks or gaming, eventually the floodgates will open like they always do, and tens of thousands of copycats will arise. A great example is the gold digger prank. I think Vitaly was really the first one to do this on YouTube, and then came the floodgates, and now there's like 1 million different variations of this gold digger prank, where some kid usually rents a supercar or sports car and then like baits girls to go on dates with them, and then like switches it, oh, you're a gold digger. The point is in this sort of realm where there's lenience and it's legal to copy. Like YouTube's not going to strike you down for copying someone in terms of the concept. I think what ends up happening, and this is just my theory, subject to change with opinions in the future, but I think in that sort of case, you really just want to stand out in your own way and develop some type of advantage where people will like you more than the others in some way, whether it's your personality or doing something that other people can't do and that sort of stuff. The Jackie Chan way, as I like to say it. That's how Jackie Chan differentiated himself from all the other Asian film action stars. What you might be wondering, wait, what other Asian film actors? Well, now obviously there's only Jackie Chan, but like back then, after Bruce Lee died, there was like floods of them, like tons and tons of actors and actresses, and you can search up and Jackie Chan talks about this in a lot of interviews. You can search it up. And basically what he did was, and basically how he differentiated himself was two big ways. He had his own personality, which was different from Bruce Lee. And everyone at the time was copying Bruce Lee. And so he initially copied Bruce Lee in his videos, but then over time he realized, that's not me. And the people who were filming him said, hey, Jackie, just be yourself. And Jackie, as you know, he's this more so funny type character where, when Bruce Lee would punch someone, it'd be like a real tough guy sort of reaction. But when Jackie Chan punches someone, boom, he goes like this, ah, and his hand hurts because that's the type of person he is. He's not that type of tough guy. So the first one is personality, and the second one, and probably the most important one, was that he realized he could differentiate himself by doing stunts that no one else would ever do because they're too dangerous. Like, you see this in all his movies. And so he would do crazy stuff that cost him a lot of injuries, a lot of hospital visits, a lot of near-death accident type things. And he found a way to stop other people from copying, which was a huge problem at the time because there's so many people copying him and trying to take the spotlight. So if you've seen some of his more dangerous stunts, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you got like things where he's like hanging on a ladder from a helicopter, and it's like a 20-minute film sequence where he's hanging on a ladder. And for them to film that, he actually had to hang on that ladder for that long, if not longer, to film that sort of thing. And they filmed it by using another helicopter. And because no one dared to copy him because it was just too dangerous, he carved out his advantage in that way. So maybe that advice might help you on YouTube as well. That's all I gotta say. As always, like and subscribe. I'll see you. Bye.